if you ever still see a rainbow in the sky, that means the rainbow covenant is still in effect. You can read about that in Genesis 6 through 9. And in the rainbow covenant, God says, don't eat anything unclean. Don't eat the unclean animals. And don't eat the blood, right? And then he says he'll never destroy the earth with a flood of water again. But then you jump to Isaiah 66, 15 through 17, and you see because the rainbow covenant's broken, because people are eating swine's flesh and all kinds of blood with all kinds of flesh, he destroys it with fire this time in his judgment. All right? So God chose what's good for us to eat and not good for us to eat, not by randomly spinning a wheel or random selection with no purpose. If you look at the animals he said are good for us to eat versus what he said is not good for us to eat, it makes total sense. All the unclean animals are scavengers, bottom feeders. Like a shrimp is the cockroach of the ocean. Crabs, lobsters, all the shellfish, catfish, these types of animals are filters of the earth. That's what they're meant for. If you put there's actually been a study done, if you put a big tub of like ocean water with clams in it versus no clams, and then leave them for a few days, the ones that had the clams in it are totally clean. The tank is totally clean in a few days because that's what the clams did. They ate all the poop, they ate all the scum, they ate all the nastiness and filtered it through. That's what they're for. So you wouldn't vacuum your house, getting all the dirty things up, and then take the filter out, and then start eating the dust of the filter, or start eating your food through the filter. Use the filter as a plate, or use the filter as a cup of water. That's all the nasty stuff you don't want. And that's what these animals are used for, you know? And everything God made is good, but according to its purpose. It's not everything's good to eat. You wouldn't say you're gonna eat a dog. You wouldn't eat a cat. You wouldn't eat, I mean, people eat all kind of crazy things in the last days, but there's some animals that are just an obvious given that you'd say, of course, that's not food, right? So if a dog and a cat are obviously not food, then what makes you think that these bottom feeders, these bottom dwellers, these filters of the earth are meant to be food? And it's, just another side point, if everybody's eating them, then the earth's gonna get dirtier because you're eating all the filters. So he gave us plenty of clean foods to eat, like deer, beef, bison, all these beautiful clean fish and birds that are all delicious, and God designed them for us to eat. So why do you reject that and go eat the things that he says not to eat, right? And people talk about Acts 10 or Mark chapter 7 or all these other chapters claim that all animals are clean. But when people are doing that, they're just misunderstanding what they're reading. They're just regurgitating the lies that they've been taught. So in Mark 7, when Yeshua is clearly not talking anything about unclean animals, he's clearly talking about Pharisaical traditions of saying you must wash your hands before you eat bread, otherwise it makes it unclean. He's saying, no, that's not the case. You have your tradition, your worship me in vain because you have all your traditions of men. It's not what goes into a man that makes him clean, but it's not what goes into a man that makes him unclean. It's what's in his heart that would make him unclean. And it's a heart posture that would ignore what God's designed for us on this earth to eat and not eat, and to ignore prophecy in Isaiah 66 about what's going to happen to people who are eating swine. It's a heart posture that defiles you. It's the heart posture that defiles you that would reject all that to still love bacon more than you love God. And you'll see it all over in the Christian church today. People will die on that bacon hill. They love bacon more than they love God. Even if there's a slight part of them that thinks, oh, maybe I can't eat this, they're still not willing to give it up because, like, to them, the taste of bacon is more worthy than risking God's judgment. That's how little fear of God there is in the Christian church today. And these holier-than-thou pastors who are judging people for, having a beer or having a smoke or having tattoos from their past life before they were born again, or not tithing enough or not dressing nice enough. Basically, as Romans 10 says, they leave off God's righteousness to go about to establish their own righteousness. Well, these people are prophesied of in Isaiah 65. And it says that these people are going to have their nose up in the air, saying they're holier than thou, while they are the ones stuffing swine's flesh down their face, judging you unrighteously. And these people are a smoke in God's nose. They're an abomination to him. How many Christian pastors are like that today? Pounding the pulpits in their suit and ties, judging unrighteously, turning people away from God in the Bible because they're misrepresenting it, judging people on things that aren't even actually sins. Meanwhile, they're the abomination, putting abominable flesh in their mouth. Why do you think Yeshua, out of all animals that God created, he chose to cast the demons, into the swine and make them run off the cliff and drown? Could have picked any other animal, but there's a specific point for it to be swine, and that just happens to be now, in the last generation we live in, to be the most held on to, idolized, fought for, unclean animal being consumed. Why is that? Coincidence? I don't think so. Yeshua's telling you it's a surefire way to get demons when you eat abominable swine's flesh, because God said don't do it. Do you know what pigs eat? Pigs will eat literally anything. Anything you give a pig, it will eat it. That's what you want to put in your body? You want trichinosis? You want parasites? Eat swine. There you go. So it's just sad, the disobedient heart that would do that. And not, let's talk about Revelation 18. Last book of the Bible, and one of the last chapters of the book of Revelation, talking about Mystery Babylon is the inhabitant of all the unclean birds, idiomatic of evil spirits. But why would God make this point of showing us unclean birds? Why would he make that establishment of unclean birds, unclean fowl, near the end of the Bible, talking about a future event, if everything was clean, if there was nothing unclean anymore? How can that be? Right? So ponder these things. Go read up on it yourself. Go read Leviticus 11, Deuteronomy 14, Isaiah 65, Isaiah 66, Genesis 6 through 9. Really study out these things that you misquote, like Romans 14 and Acts 10 and Mark 7, Colossians 2. Those chapters are very important and have amazing meaning when you actually understand what it's saying. And as long as you, like I said at the beginning of this video, as long as you look around in the sky and you can see a rainbow from time to time, then you know that God's covenant of not eating unclean still stands.